Okay, so as I said, my name is Dr. Lisa Schwartz. I'm the director of the post-baccalaureate pre-medicine program here at the George Washington University School of Medicine and Health Sciences, where we hope you may consider fulfilling your dream of becoming a physician here at GW. The inaugural program, the inaugural cohort, of the program began in May of 2015. The program was established as a result of President Knapp, the most recent past president of George Washington University. He established a task force that was intended for faculty, staff, or even students to come up with ideas of new programs that maybe would be of need to the community and that GW could fill. And certainly the courses that we will talk about that, are offered in our program are offered at GW, but it can be actually quite complicated and challenging to get into courses if you're not fully enrolled in a bachelor's degree program here at GW, and that can be true of a number of four-year schools. So the program was developed here at GW in the campus that is about 30 miles west of DC in Ashburn, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. But because of that, a great highlight of the program is, oops, I see someone can't hear. Is there anyone else who may not be able to hear? Oh, nope, she's good. Okay, thank you. So anyway, the program was developed on our campus in Ashburn, Virginia, and that means that our courses are restricted to only students in our program, and I'll touch on that a little bit more as well. So just to clarify, our program is a career changer type of post-bac program, so it's intended for students who have a bachelor's degree or maybe are seniors in college and are going to be finishing their master's degree next spring, but have not yet completed the foundational science courses that are required to apply to medical school. Students who have taken most of those courses, certainly those within the last 5 years, and wish to instead enhance their academic record, perhaps increase their GPA or illustrate to the medical schools that they can do even higher level science coursework, may wish to consider what is called an academic enhancer or a record enhancer type program, and GW does offer one of those programs as well. Oops, having a little trouble getting the slides to advance. There we go. So our program, again, is a career changer program. So it's anticipated that students that come to our program have not taken the vast majority of the courses seen here. And these are the core science courses that are typically required of allopathic and osteopathic medical schools. As you can see, the program is condensed into 1 year, and it is designed to align with the medical school application process. So students come into the program as a cohort altogether. We have only one admission cycle that begins in the summer, and they take Chemistry 1 and Chemistry 2. Those are not at the same time. Those are 7 weeks each. And they're also taking Physics 1 across the summer. This is a change. We actually had only chemistry in the summer semester at first, but we have shifted physics to be in the summer because we found that it allowed for a more balance between the 3 semesters and actually freed up the spring semester, which was quite extensive, and we'll talk about that. In the fall semester, students complete Physics 2, and then they're also taking Biology 1. They start our organic chemistry and biochemistry sequence, and here we recognized when we developed the program that biochemistry was such an important course, not only for preparation for medical school, but it was heavily focused upon in the newly revised MCAT exam. But how to put biochemistry into an already condensed program when you need to have the organic chemistry first was a bit of a challenge. So what we've devised is that our faculty member who teaches both of this series took advantage of a lot of overlap in a typical organic chemistry, new organic chemistry 2 course, as well as even biochemistry, and devised a 3 10-week course series where students begin organic chemistry 1. It's slightly accelerated to end sort of the 2/3 of the way through the fall. And then they begin Organic Chemistry 2. It's rather seamless. They end Organic Chemistry 2 in the beginning of the spring semester. It's like 1/3 of the way through. And then they finish the program, the course series with biochemistry. All of our courses, with the exception of biochemistry and a new course, Introduction to Biochemical Pharmacology, have laboratories that are here at our Virginia campus, and I'll show some photos of that. The Introduction to Biochemical Pharmacology course is a newly added course going to be offered for the first time this spring. What it did was allow the program to have at least 7 credits each semester, which would allow people to be eligible for financial aid. It also really augments the biochemistry course by allowing students to see even more application of the content in a medical setting. And we have it being offered as a pass-fail course. So again, my intention of moving physics to the summer was to free up the spring semester. So to keep it from being too arduous, we have that course being a pass-fail, but certainly would be required. As I mentioned, the highlight, I believe, of our program is the fact that our cohort is small. We typically have, we've had about 17 students in each cohort, with the exception of the first that had 10. We're aiming to be closer to about 24 to 30 students this coming cohort and in future cohorts. So it's still relatively small. It's a very supportive cohort. Again, the program restricts students in those courses to only our students. So they are very like-minded, career changer students who are obviously very dedicated and are committed to applying to medical school. And the faculty understand the high stakes of nature of the program, are incredibly dedicated to our student success. Some other highlights of the program is the personal advising, which is my primary role as program director. I meet with every student each semester for an advising meeting where we are moving from the beginning of the program through the entire length of the program on developing the elements of the application to medical school, so they get started very early. And I have, though, an open door policy. Students can certainly come to make an appointment with me to speak about their progress in their program or any other questions at any time. A big benefit of a post-bac program, including ours, is that we will provide a composite letter of recommendation for medical school applications, which includes a letter from me, as well as letters from our faculty and external letters that individuals may have sent to me to be put into this packet. And those may include letters from professors from undergraduate, employers, supervisors, and clinical settings. And we also offer mock interviews with medical school admissions representatives. A number of our admissions committee have worked on medical school admissions committees as well, and they provide mock interviews for our students. Many students come into the program already having had some healthcare-related experience as a volunteer or perhaps as an EMT, as well as some research experience. But some choose to continue that while they're here in our program, and certainly are looking for those types of experiences during the gap year when they complete our program in the spring, and then the program, the application process to medical school begins that summer, and it takes a whole year. So it's called that gap year. And we help students to secure those type of experiences, be it healthcare-related volunteer experiences or research, both part-time while they're in the program or even full-time during their gap year throughout the DC region. So a number of our students have been working with faculty, some doing bench-based research, some doing policy research. Others have been working as scribes or working as research assistants at various institutions across the country in their gap year. We also take full advantage of being in the DC area. There are, as you can imagine, a number of really critical institutes for healthcare policy, healthcare research, and training here in the DC region. So we take advantage of that, and students are, of course, welcome to join any or all of those field trips. So we've been to the National Institutes of Health, we went to the FDA, we also went to the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences, which is part of Walter Reed and the only military medical school. And while we were there, we were fortunate to see a member of Cohort 1, who is pictured here in this slide in full uniform for the Navy. So that was very exciting. We also, as program highlights, have each year since, with the exception of our first year since we had no graduates, but since then, each year we've had a graduate and now 2 graduates of the program stay on during their gap year and stay here at GW working as teaching or laboratory assistants with the program. So they support the faculty in the lab, in setup, even in developing the lab manual, and then they also are available to run group review sessions for students in advance of exams, as well as provide one-on-one tutoring to students who need it. So they're an incredible resource, and we've been really fortunate that they have done incredibly well in the program as well as in their applications to medical school so far. We also have a professional development seminar, and this is offered in the fall and spring semester primarily. It's not for academic credit, but we focus on writing personal statements, how to complete the application to medical school. We also take advantage of being in the D.C. area as well as being part of a major medical school and university that has schools of public health and law, and bring in faculty from throughout the university to speak about those different areas in which they have expertise. We also initiated what we call the Virginia Science and Technology Campus, that's what VSTC stands for, Pre-Health Professions Film Series in collaboration with the School of Nursing, which is based here on the Virginia campus as well. And here we show documentary films on different topics related to healthcare, including disabilities and end-of-life care, and then we have a group discussion after that. And it's been very successful, and we're going to be offering that every semester. We also have partnered with Kaplan, the commercial company that offers MCAT preparation courses, but they will actually come to our campus in the spring, offering 12 sessions to focus on test-taking strategies. Our students also have complete access to their online portal, which includes multiple practice questions as well as exams and other material available through the AAMC and their biochemistry audio companion. We also in the spring will have what we call a math boot camp taught by one of our faculty that is going to cover just the mathematical concepts that are going to be critical on the MCAT exam. You can use a calculator, so it's not too complicated, but it's just a refresher of topics that are not covered in the physics course. So the program is based, as I mentioned, on our Virginia Science and Technology campus, and this allows us to offer the courses solely to our students within the program without being integrated with the undergraduates. But that doesn't mean that we're cut off from the DC campus in any way. There's a shuttle bus that runs regularly between our 2 campuses. Students can take advantage of lectures and other events that are happening on the main campus related to medicine or healthcare. But we also, as often as we can, encourage the event planners to offer those events through WebEx, similar to what we're doing this evening, so our students can participate virtually, and that has happened many times, so we've been very fortunate for that. We've also brought a number of activities and events to our campus, both for our program as well as for the School of Nursing. The campus is based in Ashburn, Virginia, which is a rather suburban area. It's about halfway between Washington, D.C., which is where GW's main campus is, as well as the Shenandoah Valley. So students really have the best of both worlds being here on our campus. It's not nearly as much distraction as you may see in an inner city campus, but at the same time, students have plenty to keep them busy beyond their coursework. Students have taken advantage of being close to the Shenandoah Valley, where there's lots of hiking trails and wineries and obviously great restaurants. There's also tons of amenities in Ashburn. Loudoun County, where we're based, is considered one of the most rapidly growing counties in the country, so there's lots of entertainment and other amenities available to students. It may be hard to see from this picture, but there are a number of apartment complexes really in very close proximity to the campus. There is also that same shuttle that I mentioned that goes between the campuses, also a shuttle that runs to the metro system of DC, so students who lived in DC or a little bit farther can certainly use that as an alternative, but about half of our students at least live very close to campus. This is an aerial view of the campus. The building in the foreground, Enterprise Hall, is the one that I am actually sitting in right now. So our program offices are in this building. We use some of the classrooms for our professional development seminar. There's an exercise facility, small exercise center, as well as showers. There is a library that offers 24/7 access to students, as well as a kiosk for snacks and lunches and things like that. In the building right behind Enterprise Hall is Discovery Hall, which is highlighted in red, and that's where all of our courses and including the laboratories are taught. The other buildings within the campus house the administration for the campus and other programs like nursing and engineering and business primarily, as well as education. Discovery Hall, as I mentioned, is where students have the vast majority of their courses, with the exception of our professional development seminar. The laboratories and the building itself were built in 2015 when our program launched. So all the equipment is brand new. They're very well lit with windows throughout the laboratories and brand new equipment, as I mentioned. And this is one of our classrooms on the right, which have movable desks so students can do some group work as well. And then the picture on the left is of our Scale-Up Lab, which stands for something related to learning environment, but it's where the students learn physics. We utilize a computer programming kit called Pasco that is intended to allow students and our professor to integrate the didactic lecture portion of the physics courses with the laboratory, so that as soon as they're learning a concept, they're able to immediately see that concept in action through the laboratory equipment that we have available in the Scale-Up Lab. There is also a student lounge on the first floor of Discovery Hall that our students are welcome to use. There's chairs and study space, as well as a small kitchenette that has a microwave and refrigerator. There are a number of restaurants as well available right adjacent to campus. So we are currently in the admission cycle for summer 2018. We changed our application process a bit this year, and we are the founding member of a new post-bac CAS, and CAS stands for Centralized Admissions system or application system, and this is going to be similar to the Common App that some of you may have used for your undergraduate work, as well as what the medical schools use. So you can apply to GW's program as well as to other post-bac programs that you may be considering without having to send separate transcripts and letters of recommendation and essays to multiple schools. It's all done in one system, and then you can pick and choose which programs you send the application to. We also have a short secondary application where students will be asked to submit an additional letter of recommendation as well as an essay specifying why they want to apply to GW in particular. We only admit one cohort each year, and that is in the summer. Our summer semester begins typically in mid-May, but we have rolling admission from the time we open our application system or cycle, which was this August. So we've already started reviewing applications and doing some interviews, and this will continue through into February. We encourage students to apply early because of the rolling admission. As you can imagine, as the cycle goes on, we will start filling the class. So you want to get your application in early, and we make decisions rather quickly. Students who are considered highly qualified are invited to an interview here on campus. If it is too cost prohibitive to travel to Northern Virginia for an interview, we can accommodate students by doing the interview through WebEx, although we certainly encourage students who can to come to our campus to really get a better understanding of the program. And we'll do the review of applications and the interviews through February or until we fill the class. The requirements generally are similar to other similar programs, a minimum GPA of a 3.0, Although this is flexible, and we will consider students who have a lower GPA depending on what coursework they've already taken and the circumstances of their academic history. We do, as I mentioned, require 2 letters of recommendation. We encourage students to get recommendations from professors or supervisors. It can be non-health related, but folks who can speak to your promise as a healthcare professional, that you would do well academically in our program and certainly in medical school. We discourage letters of recommendation from any family, friends, or peers. We require official transcripts not only from college but high school. And the reason why we do this is career changers by nature have had very little science courses in college. So it's hard to really evaluate how you may do in science in our program and certainly in medical school. We use some courses like economics and math as sort of surrogates to the sciences, but we do look at those high school classes. So how did you do in high school chemistry and physics and biology as sort of indicators or predictors as to how you may do well here in our program. We do require either the SAT or the ACT, and that is an official score as well. If students never took either of those courses, exams, because their undergraduate college does not require it, then we would require the GRE. But the GRE is not a substitute for the SAT or the ACT if you did take those, or one of those. We do require a personal statement. There's actually 2, one that's part of the CAS that would be sent to all of the programs that you may be applying to, as well as one specific to GW. And then students will often submit a resume, although in the CAS there's also a section where you can describe your various experiences. And again, this does not have to be all medically related, although we certainly encourage students to have some clinical experience, be it volunteering at a hospital or scribing or working in a hospice, something that illustrates to us that you've really investigated the field of medicine and that you are prepared to enter the field. Hopefully, if admitted to medical school. And as I mentioned, students who, based on our admissions committee, are considered to be qualified and competitive will be invited to an interview. So far we've had 2 cohorts graduate, actually, but only 1 cohort has completed the entire medical school application cycle. So now is really the first time I'm able to provide some outcome data for our program, but it fortunately is very good. 1 student in the first cohort was actually accepted to GW's medical school MD program through our linkage, which I can describe in more detail. And she began medical school in 2016, so she's actually in her 2nd year of medical school right now. Of the remaining members of the program, of the inaugural cohort, 8 chose to apply to medical school to begin just this past fall, 2017. 1 student chose to extend her glide year and did not apply. All of those students who applied were invited to at least 1 interview, often multiple interviews at medical schools. And of those students, 7 students were admitted to at least 1 medical school, and that represents a 90% success rate. Often, students were admitted to their top medical school, and once admitted, they withdrew other applications. And a number of students had multiple offers, so they had choices to make as to where they wanted to go to medical school, which is a great place to be. 1 student at the end of the last year's cycle remained on the top half of 2 waiting lists. So she's in the process of reapplying. And the support and advising that you receive from our program does not end when you finish the program. In fact, it really begins when you enter the medical school application cycle. So students will remain in contact with me and other faculty here at GW until they reach their goals. So students will be able to get their committee letter that I write and advice as to which schools to apply to, how to handle the MCAT exam, what to do if they want to repeat the MCAT, and whether or not they're in the position of reapplying. That support is available, again, until they reach their goal of getting into medical school. So right now we have 1 student from cohort 1, and all of the students from cohort 2 are in the process of applying to medical school. And a number of them have already gotten interviews. Medical schools don't release admissions offers until October, so we don't have any information yet on who's been admitted, but given the number of interviews, I'm very confident that they will be very successful as cohort 1 was. The average MCAT score among members of Cohort 1 and Cohort 2 who've taken the MCAT to date, and this includes retakes, is a 509, which is rather high. It's at the 80th percentile. So this is just a photograph of our students. You can see Cohort 1 was a bit smaller than the Cohort 2 and Cohort 3, which each had 17 students. Actually, Cohort 3, the picture has Dr. Ganucci, one of our faculty, and the rest are students. But you can see it's a diverse group of students, and it's diverse in terms of not only gender and ethnicity and racial background, but really what I think adds to the dynamics of the program is the diversity in their backgrounds. Students come from a variety of undergraduate degrees, including economics and finance, English, history, music, drama, psychology, neuroscience. So those backgrounds really add to the discussion that we have in our professional development seminar, as well as even in our science-based courses. So the students, I believe, really learn a lot from not only the faculty, but each other. And a consistent theme from the students is that the program is not competitive, in that it's competitive getting in, but once they're here, the students recognize that they only benefit from being part of a cohort, and they study together, they share study guides and other information that they put together for each other. They do trips outside of the cohort just to kind of de-stress up to the Shenandoah Valley to do hikes, get together for movie nights and happy hours, and they're just a really nice, cohesive, friendly group of students that I know myself and the faculty have really enjoyed working with. But more importantly, I think they enjoy being with each other. So that is the end of the presentation. I want to open up the phones if anyone has any questions, or you can type into the chat function, and I want to give everyone the opportunity to ask questions that they may have. Certainly, you may send us an email or call our office if you have questions about the application process, about the program in particular. Those students who may be in the local area and want to visit the campus, either before applying or while they're in the process of applying, are more than welcome to do so. We've had a number of students make appointments to visit the campus, and they are led on a tour by one of our teaching assistants, who again was a graduate of one of the program, as well as even have the opportunity to sit in on a class. So that's something that we are happy to arrange if students have an interest. So let me open up the call or the phones to see if anyone has any questions, and I'll also take a look at the chat function. Oh, let me just, while I'm waiting for any questions, also offer the opportunity for students to learn a bit more about the linkage opportunity that we have for students with the GW-MD program, the medical program here at GW. Students who have coming into our program, so not as part of their coursework here at GW, but come in with an undergraduate GPA of at least a 3.6, are eligible to apply to the linkage. It is not a guarantee of admission, but rather an early decision opportunity. Students can apply early decision while they're in the program, typically the early fall, and it involves completing a portion of the typical medical school application, as well as my sending a letter of recommendation and your post-bac application to the medical school. They review the application. If granted an interview, you would go down to the main campus for an interview, and then if admitted to medical school, you would be admitted conditionally based on your completing our program in good standing, as well as scoring rather high on the MCAT exam. So it's, again, is not a guarantee of admission. But if successful, you would start medical school in the August immediately following completion of our program in April. So if students were applying to the linkage this current cohort, they would complete the application within the next few weeks, hopefully be admitted by December of this year. Again, they're in the post-bac program. They haven't finished the courses yet. Take the MCAT actually a bit earlier than most, so in April. Complete the program in April, and if successful on the MCAT, they would be admitted and start medical school in August of 2018, so they get to avoid that glide year. We do not request that students specify if they intend to apply through the linkage as part of their application to our program to the post-bac. It's It's really up to students if that's something that they want to do. I meet with students who are interested, and we go through the pros and cons. You have to certainly be committed to going to GW Medical School because it's a binding admission. So some students decide that they prefer to apply more broadly, especially if they're from states that have medical schools that they may be interested in applying to, that may offer preferential admission and or reduced tuition. And certainly students who choose not to go through the linkage application or are not eligible for the linkage are encouraged and are very successful in applying and being admitted to GW Medical School. We are hoping to add on additional schools through which we have this type of an affiliation linkage agreement, and that will be, we're hoping to finalize a contract that we have with another medical school, actually an osteopathic medical school this fall, and then ultimately add more and more schools as our program continues to grow. So I'm just looking to see if there's any questions, and if there aren't any, then hopefully I answered a number of your questions. Much of the material that I'm presenting is on our website. I encourage you to look at some of our testimonials from our students who found that this program really met their needs. Some of them are already first-year medical students throughout the country, and some are currently in the program. So right now I don't see any questions. So I'm going to assume that there may not be any, which is perfectly fine. And again, I thank you for joining us and for your interest in our program. If you decide to apply, I'll look forward to reviewing your application. But please do not hesitate to contact our office if you have any questions. And again, I'm certainly happy to host you on the campus if you're interested. Oh, whoops, someone actually has some questions. So please just type them out into the chat, and I'll be able to answer them for you. I'm not 100% sure how to open all of the phone lines, and we may end up having some background noise, so it might be better to just enter it into the chat. I should mention while I'm waiting, we have students who join the program from across the country. Certainly, as you would imagine, we have students who are from the DC area. GW is a private university, so we are not state supported. We don't offer reduced tuition to Virginia residents. We don't necessarily have preferential treatment to Virginia residents either, although we welcome them to apply. So we often do have a number of students who are from Virginia, Maryland, or DC, but we've had students from as far as California, Oregon, Florida, New York certainly, Minnesota, Texas. So we certainly encourage students to apply from all over. And then students are applying to medical school throughout the country as well. Okay. Someone was asking about the typical weekly schedule, so that is a great question. Because it is a full-time program, the classes are offered during the day. We don't offer any classes in the evening. Classes are typically in the summer on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays, pretty much again all day. And then on, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And then in the fall semester, they are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So, for example, right now the students are in the fall semester, so they have the full complement of courses. They're taking physics on Mondays, including lecture and lab. On Tuesdays, they have biology, lecture in the morning, lab in the afternoon. Wednesdays, they have organic chemistry in the morning, lecture and lab in the afternoon. And because organic chemistry is a bit accelerated, they have additional lecture on Thursday morning. Thursday afternoons is when we typically have our professional development seminar. They don't have any classes on Fridays or on the weekends or in the evenings. In the spring, we will have those 12 MCAT prep course sessions that are going to be offered through Kaplan, and those will probably be on Wednesday evening when students are already here on campus. And students are able to volunteer in hospitals to gain additional clinical experiences or to do some research, and that's typically done on Fridays or in the evenings or on the weekends. Okay, and the committee the question is regarding applications. We will not review applications until they are complete. So that includes submitting the application, both the CAS application as well as our secondary application, which unfortunately includes an additional fee, as well as having both the CAS-based online they require only one letter of recommendation, but we require a second letter, which is done through the CAS, again, that centralized application system. We also will expect your SAT or ACT or GRE scores to be in, as well as your high school transcripts, which are mailed to GW. They're not collected through the CAS, although there is a place where students can upload an unofficial copy. So in truth, we will look at unofficial copies of high school transcripts or the standardized test scores and review applications if those are in and everything else is complete. But we won't be able to admit anyone if they don't have their official scores and official transcripts in. The program, someone's asking about the cost. Currently this year, the cost is just shy of $40,000 for the entire year. It's $39,500. It is subject, of course, as it unfortunately often is, to go up a bit in the next year. The way the tuition is covered, though, it is a flat rate, meaning it's not subject to go up each semester, and students are charged, it's divided into 3 equal installments. So you pay a third in the summer minus the initial deposit that students put down if they're admitted into the program to hold a spot, which is $500. That goes towards the first semester, the summer tuition. And then they'll get charged for the fall semester and then the spring semester. So you can divide it over 3 payments. And the university will offer a monthly payment plan for students who are unable to put that much up front. Our program is eligible for federal financial aid as well as for GI Bill benefits for students who have military benefits, be it because they were active duty at some point or they are a dependent of an active duty serviceman or servicewoman. So some students will take federal loans, others will take private loans or use their own savings to pay for the program. And it does include the MCAT prep course by Kaplan. That's not any additional fee or charge, and there's no additional laboratory fees. The tuition certainly doesn't cover living expenses. Some students, and we've helped to facilitate this, have lived together to try to offset the cost, to reduce the cost by having a roommate, and we will try to facilitate that as students join the program or are admitted to the program before the summer semester begins. And the apartment complexes that are in close proximity to the campus will often offer reduced rates for GW students. Let's see, are there any other questions? Those were all perfect questions. So there's a question about the difference between this program and GCAS, which is the Graduate Certificate in Anatomical and Translational Sciences. So that's a great question. Our program is a career changer program. So it's intended for students who have a bachelor's degree, but most typically in humanities or in a social science. So maybe psychology, sociology, or maybe history or English. But the key is that they have not taken the vast majority of science courses. Now, it's hard to get out of undergraduate without having taken a chemistry or biology course, but the expectation is that you haven't taken most of those courses that we offer in our program, so the general chemistry, organic chemistry, physics, biology, and biochem. And students who have taken those courses but instead are hoping to enhance their academic record. So perhaps you got mainly B's and C's in those courses, which may make you less competitive for medical school, are encouraged instead not to repeat the courses in a program like ours, but instead to take what's called a record enhancer or a academic enhancer type post-bac program. And the GCAS is a good example. They offer a certificate, which is the GC, graduate certificate. They also offer a master's degree. The certificate is the first year, and then students can choose to continue into the master's, and that's 2 years. And those courses are higher level, graduate level science courses, with the idea that even if you didn't do quite as well in the earlier science courses, that by doing well in a master's degree program or a certificate program at the graduate level, that you can illustrate to the medical schools, I have the foundational knowledge and I can perform well in these higher courses, higher level courses, and therefore medical school. So students who apply to that program have taken all the courses that we offer, and that's the main difference. Their program also offers face-to-face, but it's at the main campus of GW in Washington, D.C. GW actually offers a number of other similar programs, including an online program that our students are able to apply to somewhat seamlessly if they're interested. Some students may choose to do a graduate certificate just to still enhance their academic record after completing our program, and they can do that through an online program that we offer here at GW as well in medical laboratory sciences. Great. So it looks like I answered the bulk of those questions, which were very relevant and very helpful to ensure a number of other students. So we're going to wait and see if there's any more questions from our participants. And again, I certainly encourage you to take a look at our website, to reach out to us if you have any particular questions. If you live in the D.C. area, if you're interested, you're more than welcome to visit us, sit in on a class if your schedule will permit, and meet some of our current students. Our current students have actually been wonderful and have been very willing to speak with prospective students, as well as students who we've admitted to the program who are trying to decide if they want to join us. They're very good at marketing or promoting our program, since they are the ones who have had the student experience and can really relay what it was about our program that made them want to come to GW. And I hope some of the highlights that I discussed will make you look at our program very carefully and encourage you to apply. So I don't see any additional questions, so I'm going to call it a night. So thank you all for joining us. And I will post this recording on our website within the next few days if you have any interest in reviewing it again. And I wish you the best of luck in your journey to medical school, and hope that that journey may begin here at GW. So take care.